What do you think are the main causes of the problems we see with American Western values right now?
Right. So I think the root of the problem is 1694, because that is when the Bank of England was first chartered. And the Bank of England, the idea was that it would take transnational capital and lend it to the nation state of England with Parliament as the guarantor. Okay. So previously, if you were a king and you wanted to fight a war, you need to hire mercenaries. So you borrow money from merchants who lent you gold in order to finance the war. The problem with this is that the king may die, you may lose the war, or the king may renege on the contract. So there's high risk for merchants to work with kings. So the Bank of England solved this problem because now Dutch merchants could lend money to England and it would be guaranteed by Parliament, the nation state. And this was a revolution in European affairs, because now England basically had infinite financing. It could fight a war against someone like Napoleon and keep on fighting until Napoleon was finally defeated. So it took seven wars for Napoleon to be defeated by the British. And the British lost 6 of these wars. So that's the power of infinite financing created by the Bank of England. It basically created the British Empire. But how do you go about justifying to people, why are you, a citizen of England, borrowing money from these transnational capitalists, these merchants? And if you can't pay it back, your son, your children, your grandchildren have to pay it back. Basically, your entire society is indebted to these merchants from overseas who you don't know. And so they needed to create a system, a philosophical system, in order to justify this. And this is when you have the beginning of what we call modern British Enlightenment civilization, okay? Starting with John Locke and the sanctification of private property as the highest good, as something that is God-given, private property, right? Then you have people like David Hume, which questions the very legitimacy of human intuition and the project of philosophy, of the pursuit of truth. Then you have people like Jeremy Bentham, which put utilitarianism as the heart and center of society. If something brings people pleasure, it is fundamentally good. If something brings people pain, it is fundamentally evil. And this is the beginning of what we call a consumer society, right? Where each individual is seeking his or her own pleasure. Then you have people like John Stuart Mill, who would take utilitarianism and then create a liberal society based on these principles. Okay, so and then from that you have Charles Darwin, his theory of evolution, and Karl Marx, and so these philosophers together create the framework for Western civilization. And everything that comes afterwards is a byproduct of this philosophy.